From homeless to millionaire, the inspiring journey of a black man. Everyone's talking about it, how a man no one noticed, living on the streets of New York, went from nothing to owning an empire overnight. Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what happened. The newspapers scream wild headlines about Jack, the reclusive billionaire, dodging one scandal after another. Corruption whispers follow him like shadows in the night. Yet, no one really knows who he is beneath the luxury suits and midnight secrets. But the story starts somewhere nobody expects, in the rain-soaked streets, where a woman named Maya fights for her kids every single day. 7 kids, no job, and a husband who left without a word when the roof started leaking and the bills piled up. Maya's arms ache constantly from carrying her youngest, and her nights are filled with fear more than sleep. The city doesn't pause for her. It pushes her into dark corners, forgotten by the world above skyscrapers. Then, one store. Cameras flashing, reporter shouting. Jack bursts from a nearby alley, chased and breathless. His expensive coat is soaked, his eyes wild like a hunted animal. Without thinking, Maya grabs his hand. It's rough, scared, and desperate, and pulls him into the shadows. The rain pelts their skin. Heartbeats drum loud in the silence. Jack's voice trembles. He's not used to trust, especially from someone like her. But Maya sees past the surface, past the fancy life. She knows what it's like to be trapped, to be fought over by ghosts. They hide on the cold pavement as the crowd storms past, voices fading behind them. Something passes between them. Not charity, not pity, but an unspoken alliance forged in the storm. Jack, with his millions and secrets, and Maya, with her worn-out sneakers and fierce love, suddenly part of the same fight. Days blur as Jack steps deeper into Maya's world. He meets the kids, messy and loud, faces tired, but glowing with stubborn hope. He learns about her pain, the lost job, the nights waiting for a dad who never showed. But there's more. Jack starts digging into his past, into the dusty family records that no one ever touches. Then he finds it, a secret link between their families that shocks him. A betrayal buried deep, a wrong done long ago, now spiraling into chilling threats. Maya's chest tightens every time Jack talks about trust. After the years alone, after her husband left her to drown, trust feels like a cruel joke. Yet, watching Jack struggle with his family's dark legacy, she senses he's fighting for a different life too. A real one. Not just money and titles. But danger is close. Too close. Between whispered threats, shadowed strangers, and cracked smiles, both Maya and Jack know this will be a war. Not just for their hearts, but for those 7 kids clutching hope between ragged blankets. On a rare, quiet evening, as they share a fragile moment, Jack's phone buzzes. He answers. His face drains, eyes hollow and sharp. Maya watches the screen, breath caught tight in her throat. The voice on the other end is cold, the words slicing through the fragile calm. What lies ahead, Jack whispers, may be worse than anything we imagined. And then, the line goes dead. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Jack's breath quickens, heart racing like it might burst. What lies ahead? He whispers to Maya, voice trembling. She can see the fear in his eyes, the vulnerability he's not used to showing. Then the call drops. Silence crashes down, wrapping around them like a fog. Maya instinctively reaches for him, searching for assurance in this new chaos. What was that? Her voice cracks. Jack! His haunted gaze sweeps the dark street. Fear spikes in her chest. Shadows stretch and twist around them. I don't know, he finally manages. Before Maya can respond, a bright light suddenly floods the alley. Dot 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 dot. It blinds them. She squints, instinctively moving closer to Jack, gripping his arm tightly. A white van screeches to a halt, tires squealing against the wet pavement. The door swings open, and from the blinding light emerges a figure she never expected to see. Jack, get in! The voice booms, rough and commanding. It's a man dressed in black, face obscured by the glare. Jack's body rigid with shock, his eyes wide, darting between the man and Maya. Who is that? Maya whispers, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and astonishment. Panic pooling in her stomach. It's my brother. Jack's words freeze the air around them. The brother he never mentioned. The family he never spoke of. What? I thought you said you were alone. Things are not what they seem. Jack's voice rises, a mix of anger and fear lacing his words. Get in the van, or they'll know we're here. Maya's heart races. She scans Jack's expression, searching for anything that makes sense. I can't just... The man in the van shouts again. Now, Jack! There's an urgency in his tone that sends chills down her spine. The shadows seem to creep closer, as if the city itself is holding its breath. Jack hesitates, torn between two worlds, the life he's built and the darkness waiting to swallow him whole. Maya, I need you to trust me. Trust! The word hits her hard. After everything, after fighting back the world for her kids, trust feels like a foreign concept. Yet here they are, trapped in this moment, between faith and survival. Jack moves toward the van, pulling Maya along. The rain lashes down, tangling their feet in slick puddles. She glances back, heart pounding, not wanting to leave behind her small world. The kids waiting in a small, cramped space, innocent to the chaos of their parents' lives. Then a voice whispers from the shadows. You shouldn't have done this, Jack. Every muscle in her body stiffens. The voice is cold, foreboding. She peers into the darkness, where another figure steps forward, face partially revealed. Who are you? Jack's voice is strained. He knows this voice. You're past, Jack. The one you can't outrun. Suddenly the man in the shadows lunges. Instinct kicks in, and Maya shoves Jack aside as the force crashes against her, propelling them both to the ground. Pain explodes. Her knees crack against the pavement. Run! Jack screams, panic flaring in his eyes. But they're locked in this moment, a jigsaw puzzle just thrown off the table. She pushes herself up, eyes wide with terror. They could both end here, lost in a fight that shouldn't have erupted. But the look on Jack's face ignites a spark of defiance. With one swift motion, Jack rolls back, grabbing a shattered brick. "Don't you touch her!" Before she can question him, the shadowy man lunges again, and Jack swings, striking hard. The impact echoes, breaking the darkness around them. But the figure doesn't fall. Instead, it laughs. A low, sinister sound that sends chills shooting down Maya's spine. "Maya," Jack says, eyes wide, breathless, "you don't know the truth about us." Everything freezes. The world tilts on its axis. "What truth?" she gasps, mind racing with confusion and dread. As the man from the shadows glares down at them, the street light flickers, illuminating the sinister smile on his face. And then Maya starts to connect the dots. The connections whispering lies and secrets buried deep. This fight was never just theirs. "Tell her, Jack!" the shadow man taunts, voice dripping with malice. Suddenly, uncertainty wraps around Maya more tightly than before. The rain falls harder, a curtain of darkness swallowing them whole. What was real? What was a lie? The questions unwrap like ribbons, leaving her breathless, desperate to know how deep the roots of this twisted path run. "Jack!" But his silence leaves her teetering on the edge of discovery. A discovery that might upend everything she thought she knew. Jack's heart raced as silence stretched, thick and jagged. The line went dead, but the chill in the air lingered like a ghost. Maya's breath hitched, her instincts flaring. What was it? What danger lurked just beyond their fragile moment? He turned to face her, eyes wide, a storm of fear swirling beneath the surface. "Jack," she whispered, gripping his arm tightly. He hadn't said a word, but she felt an electric charge between them, a bond torn from the rawest corners of their lives. What was that about? He took a deep breath, the kind that rattled every bone. It's complicated." But before he could speak, the night erupted. A loud crash shattered the stillness, followed by a series of screams. Jack's body tensed, instinct kicking in. They darted to the alley's edge, drawn by the chaos. Outside, pedestrians swarmed, shouting, hands raised, faces twisted in terror. Jack searched the crowd, his pulse hammering like a drum. "We need to," he started. But before he could finish, a figure emerged from the throng, tall and cloaked in black. "Jack!" a voice cried, sharp and cutting through the din. It was a man, familiar. Jack's breath caught. "You thought you could hide?" The man took a step forward, a menacing grin sharpening his features. Maya gripped Jack tighter, sensing the impending violence. He turned to her, but his eyes were focused on the approaching figure. "No, James," he muttered, recognizing the shadow from his past. "Get back, Maya, now!" But it was too late. James lunged. The crowd parted like water, revealing Jack and Maya in stark relief against the chaos. "Maya, run!" Jack shouted, but hesitation seized her feet. She didn't want to leave him. Not now, not when danger had become so tangible. Jack and James were locked in a struggle. Fists flying, words punctuating the air, threats, accusations. Maya's heart raced, the uncertainty spreading like wildfire in her chest. She watched the scene unfold, each punch echoing deeply, resonating with the past they had both tried to escape. And then there was a flash, a glint of metal, a knife pulled from James's jacket, light catching it like a twisted beacon. "No!" Maya screamed, voice juggling between fear and fury, pushing past the crowd that still gawked, frozen like deer in headlights. But then something else happened. James, amidst his twisted dance with Jack, turned abruptly. He locked eyes with her. In that instant, everything shifted. Time slowed, heartbeat echoing. "You had no idea, did you?" His words cut, laced with a dark truth that twisted in the air like smoke. "I am your real family. You don't belong with him." Jack turned, eyes wide, shock morphing into horror, and suddenly the world tilted beneath them. His fist fell slack, confusion etched across his face. The revelation struck like thunder. Maya stepped back, instincts screaming. "What do you mean?" "Your mother," James taunted, eyes gleaming. "She chose to forget her true blood to protect you. You're a part of this empire, Maya, whether you want to be or not." Maya's blood ran cold. Reality fractured, shifting beneath her. She felt Jack's presence on one side, fierce and protective, while James lurked on the other, with his dark eyes filled with revelations she never saw coming. Suddenly, the chaos took a sharp turn. A gunshot rang out, loud and clear. Jack's body jerked, eyes wide, and everything fell silent. And in that harrowing moment, Maya knew. Everything she thought she knew was slipping away. Who was she really? What awaited them now? The darkness expanded, swallowing hope as she struggled to grasp the truth, leaving her gasping for answers that hung just out of reach. Maya's heart raced, fear flooding every nerve. Jack stood frozen, breath hitching as his eyes locked onto James, who prowled with a sinister smile. The weight of the world hung heavy on her shoulders, the moment crackling with tension. But then that gunshot rang out, piercing through the chaos like lightning, eyes wide with shock, then crumpled to the ground. "Jack!" Maya's voice shattered like glass. She darted forward, panic coursing through her veins, a wave of dread. She fell beside him, trembling as she cradled his head. "Please, Jack," she whispered, but he didn't respond. Blood pooled beneath him, a dark omen spreading across the pavement. Maya's breath came in ragged gasps, her world tilting on the fragile axis of hope and despair. James stepped closer, menace radiating from him. "You're too late, Maya. You can't save him now." His laughter rang hollow, echoing her worst fears. "No!" She pressed her hands against Jack's wound, desperate for a miracle. "Stay with me, Jack!" But he lay there, eyes distant and dim. Panic clawed at her chest. But something deeper stirred in her gut. She couldn't fall apart. Not now. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the edge of the chaos, a figure breaking through the crowd. It was a woman, tall and fierce, bursting with energy that commanded attention. "Step back," she shouted, pushing through the crowd. Maya's heart skipped. She knew that voice. "Mom?" But disbelief faded into the sharp clarity of the moment as Maya recognized her mother. The woman who had vanished so many years ago was back, pushing through the throng, eyes aflame with fury. "What have you done?" She glared at James, and the atmosphere shifted. "Maya!" her mother cried, rushing to kneel beside them. "Oh, my baby, Tears streamed down her face, a torrent of emotion. "Maya, don't let her fool you," James spat, his confidence waning. "She left you. She's not who you think she is." Maya felt the air crackle with tension. Confusion swirls knotting in her gut. Memories of her mother flooded back. Laughter, warmth, love. Yet the betrayal of her absence gnawed at her. "Why, Mom? Why did you leave?" Her mother's gaze softened as she cupped Maya's face with trembling hands. "I had to protect you. I didn't have a choice." "That's not an answer!" Maya's voice rang out, heavy with pain. "It doesn't matter!" James interrupted, anxiety twisting his mouth. "She lied to you. We are family, Maya. You should be with us." Maya trembled, the weight of words crashing around her. The truth was a storm, and she was caught in the middle. "What do you mean?" Before James could answer, a loud crack filled the air. A gunshot fired again, this time not from him, but from behind. The crowd gasped, chaos erupting as people scattered. Suddenly, Jack's hand squeezed her wrist, breaking through the fog of panic. "Get down!" he shouted with surprising strength, pulling Maya behind him as his mother dove protectively over them. Time slowed. The figures in the crowd morphed from spectators to predators, the air heavy with fear and screams. Another shot echoed, and James fell, a figure cloaked in black, emerging from the shadows. "Stop! Stop!" Maya screamed, her heart racing. A cold, hard chill cascaded down her spine as she realized the shooter wasn't just after Jack. They were after the truth. In the chaos, confusion unraveled, revealing threads of loyalty and betrayal. Each pulse of her heart echoed questions that swirled in her mind. Who was the real enemy? Who could she trust? Her mother's hand trembled as she met her eyes, a fear mirrored in Jack's gaze. "Maya, we must leave now!" "Maya, this isn't over!" James coughed, blood slipping from his lips. And in that moment, she faced a choice. Do they flee into the darkness, or fight against the waves of history crashing down upon them? "Mom, I need to know everything!" But before she could grasp the words, the shadows surged forward, theft of light promising to engulf them whole. As chaos unfolded, the real game began, and Maya stood at the edge of revelation, a threshold of secrets waiting to spill. What was the truth? Whose side was she really on? The night loomed heavy with uncertainty, threatening to reveal answers she wasn't sure she was ready to face. Jack stares at the dead phone, his heart racing. The cold air hits hard, a sharp reminder of the storm outside. Maya watches him closely. She sees the fear etched on his face, the shadows pulling deeper. "What was that?" she breathes, voice trembling. "I don't know," he whispers, hands beginning to shake as adrenaline pumps through him. They were hiding, but everything felt exposure. Trust was fragile, and now it felt torn. Jack knew silence could scream louder than anything. Suddenly, the air crackles, a low rumble shakes the ground, followed by screams. A chaos erupts. Jack's eyes dart. He grabs Maya's arm tight, pulling her close. They slip deeper into the shadows, just as figures burst into view across the street, yelling, panicked, Lights flash, blinding them. Maya squints, trying to make sense of the scene. The people rush past, but then something catches her eye. A figure stands alone, off to the side, watching intently. Dressed in black, hoodie pulled low, the person seems familiar. It's someone from her past, someone tied to the wreckage of her life. Rick. Her ex-husband. Jack! Her voice catches. It's him! Who? Jack's head turns, but Maya can't look away. Her heart pounds. Rick? Here? After all this time? He chose to disappear, leaving her stranded, and suddenly he was back. Like a shadow she couldn't shake off. Rick's gaze locks onto Maya. He moves through the crowd with unsettling confidence, despite the chaos. Just then, the air shifts again. A sharp sound cuts through the noise. A gunshot, a scream. People scatter, the storm amplifying the chaos. What the hell? Jack jerks, pulling Maya closer. Panic ignites in his eyes. Rick is dangerous. Maya gasps. She feels the weight of years living in fear. Her hands tremble as memories flood back. Punches thrown, secrets whispered, promises broken. The crowd erupts into sheer madness. People scream and run in all directions. Jack shuffles Maya further back against the brick wall, shielding her with his body. The air hangs thick, suffocating. Stay back! Jack bellows, voice hoarse with urgency. But Maya's eyes remain locked on Rick, who is now moving closer, eyes wild, lips curling into a cruel smile. Maya, he calls, voice smooth like ice. Miss me? Panic grips her heart, and she stumbles back against Jack. He knows about you, she breathes. Jack's grip tightens, anxiety pouring off him like a wave. Why would he know? Jack demands, eyes wide. But just as he speaks, the shadows shift, and a man in a suit approaches. Jack! The voice is familiar, but laced with malice. It's someone from Jack's hidden world, a name he never wanted Maya to know. Darren! Jack growls. The air is thick with tension, and a pitiful ground crumbles beneath them. Who was Jack hiding from? What dark truths lay buried beneath his fortune? It's all connected. Darren smirks, his gaze flickering between Jack and Maya. You're in over your head, Jack. And Maya? Well, she's about to learn everything. Maya's breath hitches. She turns to Jack, searching for answers in his eyes. Who was he really? What did she not know? And in that moment, before Jack opens his mouth to speak, Rick lunges forward, fingers reaching. Chaos reigns as a blinding flash floods the alley. Maya's world spins, heart racing with fear and uncertainty. Run! Jack shouts, voice filled with urgency. But as they stumble to escape, Maya can't shake the feeling that everything they built was on shifting sand. And the truth? It looms closer, darker than the storm swirling above them. Jack's voice trembled like a leaf in the storm. What lies ahead, he said, may be worse than anything we imagined. The line went dead, leaving a haunting silence that seemed to swallow them whole. Maya felt the air thicken around her, and fear gripped her throat. Something was coming, something dark, and she could sense it in her bones. Suddenly, the faint sound of a car engine rumbled through the night, growing louder. Her heart raced. Rain drummed against the pavement as headlights sliced through the shadows. Jack's eyes darted to the corridor they had just escaped into, his body tense. They heard shouting, frantic voices echoing off the walls. "We can't stay here!" Maya hissed. But before Jack could respond, the car screeched to a halt just feet from where they hid. The door swung open, and a figure emerged. A tall man wearing a dark suit, his face shrouded beneath a dripping hood. The rain poured down, masking the tension that crackled in the air like static electricity. "Jack!" he shouted, his voice slicing through the night. "You can't hide from this!" Maya's heart plummeted as Jack stiffened beside her. He recognized the man. The mask he wore slipped just for a moment, revealing emotions she had seen in Jack's eyes. Fear, rage, something else. Betrayal? "What do you want?" Jack's voice was a low growl, barely above a whisper. She could see his fists clenched at his sides, his body coiling tighter like a spring. "Your father wants you back," the man yelled, stepping closer into the flickering light. "He knows you're here, Jack. He'll stop at nothing to take you down." "That's a lie," Jack shot back, but the man shook his head, a smirk cutting across his face. "No lie, my friend. You're part of a deal far bigger than you realize." His next words sent a shiver through Maya. "And it involves her." He pointed directly at Maya, his eyes narrowing with malicious glee. Maya felt a jolt, like ice suddenly flooding her veins. "What do you mean?" she whispered, barely able to form the words. "Secrets," the man said, his smirk widening. "You're more connected to this mess than Jack knows. You don't even realize it." Jack turned to her, confusion swirling in his dark eyes. What is he talking about? Maya's mind raced. A connection? What connection? Suddenly, the man pulled out something shiny, a document illuminated by the car's headlights. "Let me show you." In a flash, Maya saw it. Photos, dates, names intertwined like vines, each twist tighter than the last. And then there it was, her late father's name scrawled across the page, connected to Jack's family. Their histories merging over decades, like a storm brewing in the distance. "Maya, no!" Jack stepped closer, desperation in his voice. But the man laughed, a cruel echo in the night. "You didn't think you could escape this, did you? Your shared history is haunting you both. This is just the beginning." Maya's chest tightened, breath catching in her throat. A truth buried by time was now clawing its way back. She felt Jack's hand reach for her, rough and warm. But the fear raged between them like fire. "No!" she shouted, shaking her head. "You're lying!" The man pulled back, his laughter a sharp blade in the dark. "We'll see who's lying when the past comes knocking. You've got until dawn to decide, Jack." After that, it all crumbles. The car door slammed shut, and the figure disappeared into the thick night without another word. Silence fell again, heavy and suffocating. Maya turned to Jack, tears threatening to spill. "What did he mean? What is this?" Jack's eyes met hers, stormy and uncertain. "I don't know," he whispered, voice cracking. And there they stood, hearts pounding, shadows lurking, as the past came crashing in like a wave, threatening to drown them both. What had they just uncovered? Jack's breath hitches, the silence heavy like a lead weight in the air. Maya leans closer, her heart pounding like a drum. "What was that about?" she whispers, a voice trembling. He looks at her, eyes wide with fear. "It's nothing, just business," he stammers. But it's clear it's more. A storm brews inside him, and she feels it too, the way the air vibrates with tension. He's hiding something, and they both know it. The city outside has fallen quiet, the rain tapering to a soft drizzle. But the atmosphere is electric. Jack's phone buzzes again, a constant reminder of the world crashing in around them. He glances at it, his expression morphing from fear to something darker. "Maya, we need to talk." His voice is low, almost a whisper, but the urgency is there. Before he can continue, a scream cuts through the night. A raw, primal sound that makes both their heads snap toward the street. "Mama! Mama!" the voice shouts, frantic. Jack and Maya rush to the corner, peeking out into the shadows. Her oldest son, Joshua, stands under a streetlight, fear etched across his face. He's shaking, breathless. "They took the kids!" "What?" The words hit Maya like a punch. Her heart drops, a cold knot of dread spiraling in her stomach. "What do you mean? Who took them?" She's trembling, panic clawing at her throat. Jack's face pales, and realization dawns. It's not just her kids. This time it feels different. "Men in masks!" Joshua gasps. "They grabbed them. I tried to stop them, but they were too fast." Maya moves, instincts kicking in. "We have to go now." She grabs Jack's arm, pulling him out into the night. Jack hesitates, his eyes darting from Maya to the chaos outside. But her fear ignites something deep within him. Together, they sprint toward the alley, a city shining ominously under flickering neon lights. But as they reach the corner, a flash lights up the night. A gunshot rings out, echoing through the streets like thunder. "No!" Maya screams, a raw, desperate sound. Within moments, chaos ensues. Jack pushes her behind him, heart racing, adrenaline surging. "We have to find them! We can't waste time!" Joshua stumbles back, pointing toward the direction the men had gone. "I saw them! They went toward the old warehouse!" They rush toward the place Joshua indicated, but in the shadows, dark figures await. Maya's breath catches as she realizes the scene unfolding. The night was more than it seemed. "Jack," her voice shakes. She finally sees the truth, lurking beneath his polished surface. "Was this your family's doing?" "Ha ha! Were you involved?" He whips around, his expression a mix of shock and horror. "No! This wasn't supposed to happen! I didn't know!" But before she can process it, a figure emerges from the darkness, a familiar face, twisted in a cruel grin. It's a man from Jack's past, the one she had hoped was gone for good, the ghost that had once chased him down those rain-soaked streets. "Long time no see, Jack," he taunts, holding up a phone. Her children's faces flash on screen, eyes wide with fear. "You took too long to settle your debts." Devastation washes over Maya, the world narrowing to a single point of loss. Jack's hand trembles in hers, and she realizes she's not just fighting for her kids, but for his soul too. A battle maybe neither of them can win. The line of trust they've built seems to fracture beneath the weight of betrayal. "Don't!" she yells, desperate. But what can they do against the darkness closing in? Every breath feels like a countdown. Suddenly, the ground shakes. A blinding light flashes from behind, whispers of danger approaching closer. Maya turns. "Jack, we need to go." But as she pulls him with her, Jack's eyes lock onto the man, a fierce determination igniting. "No, I can't run. I need to fix this." The choice hangs in the air, thick and suffocating. Betrayal or bravery? A shot rings out. Time freezes as Maya realizes the full scope of the storm they're now caught in. Trust shattered, lives tangled, everything at the brink. And in that moment, as the darkness swallows light, answers feel like they are just out of reach. What happens next? The fear lingers like a ghost, haunting their every move. Jack's breath catches in his throat as the darkness closes around them. But a fight has ignited in his core. He can't let the shadows of his past drag Maya and the kids down any further. The familiar figures loom closer, intent on pulling him back to a place he thought he had escaped. "We're done running!" he shouts, fire in his voice. But the air grows heavy with tension, the line between danger and safety blurring dangerously. Maya's heart races, pounding against her ribs. She feels trapped, as if every decision made before this moment weighs down on her like a stone. "We can't stay here," she urges, desperate. But Jack's jaw is set, resolve etched on his face. "They're taking away our kids. I can't just let them walk away." Suddenly, the echoing sound of footsteps rushes toward them, shattering their moment. A figure dashes from the shadows, Rick, and he's not alone. Two men flank him, grim expressions plastered on their faces, eyes that glisten with malice. Maya's stomach drops. She wanted to believe that Rick was out of their lives for good. "You!" she gasps, stepping back as panic claws at her throat. Rick's grin widens. "Surprise, Maya? Missed me?" His tone is mocking, twisted with joy and something darker. But before they can react, the man who had been harassing Jack suddenly steps forward, his gun glinting ominously in the moonlight. "This ends now, Jack," he commands, voice booming. Then, as if the night itself had conspired against them, everything happens at once. The world erupts into chaos. Jack lunges, fists flying, but nothing feels real. Maya sees blurs of motion, the sickening sound of flesh hitting flesh, grunts of pain crashing down over their heads. But then, the brutal truth hits her like a wave. Rick, grinning devilishly, pulls out a knife, the blade gleaming. "Look who's back in the game!" Maya screams, her heart racing as time slows. "Don't!" she yells, reaching for Jack, who is entangled in a desperate struggle with the other men. She can't lose him now. But before she can blink, everything changes. A gunshot rings out loud and sharp. Jack jerks to the side, pain flashing across his eyes. "No!" Maya screams, rushing forward. But the moment stretches infinitely. The world sharpens and blurs, her heart shattering into pieces. Rick's laughter pierces the confusion. "You thought you could outrun this? You're tied to us now." Suddenly, as the smoke from the gun dissipates, an unexpected figure strides into view, marching through the chaos with an air of authority that stops everyone in place. It's an unknown woman, dressed sharply, a fierce gaze covering the scene. "Enough!" Maya squints as she tastes in la extranjera. There's something unsettlingly familiar about her. Fueled by instinct, she pushes through the fray, straining to hear. But before she can reach Jack, the woman locks eyes with him. and she sees a flicker of recognition in Jack's expression. In one fluid motion, the woman pulls back her jacket, revealing a gun just like Rick's. But she doesn't aim it. Instead, she points it toward herself, shocking everyone into silence. "I've been waiting for this moment," she declares, voice steady, unwavering. "Mom?" Jack's voice breaks, eyes wide. Time hangs suspended in the air, everything crashing around them. The loyalties, the lies, everything they believed shatters in an instant. "What?" Maya gasps, looking at Jack, panic igniting in her chest. "I'm doing this for you, Jack," the woman says, sadness in her eyes. "It's the only way." A silence grips them, sharp and thick, filled with unspoken truths. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces of their past collide with a fierce intensity. Who was she really? Jack's mother, the missing link, now standing in the middle of this chaos. "What do you mean?" Jack's voice trembles, confusion coursing through him. Before an answer can surface, she pulls the trigger, a deafening sound that splinters the air. Time collapses. Maya finds herself gasping, eyes wide, an overwhelming wave of disbelief washing over her. The world spins, and everything they fought for, trust, love, family, it all hangs in the balance, trembling on the edge of revelation. And as the echoes of the shot reverberate in her ears, a new, terrifying truth begins to take shape. Someone was orchestrating this chaos all along, and Maya could feel that something dark was lurking much closer than she realized. The deafening crack of the gunshot echoed in Maya's ears, a bitter sound that stung her soul. She blinked, heart racing, the world around her blurring momentarily. Everything felt surreal. Jack's eyes went wide with shock, but she couldn't deny the terrible truth of what she just witnessed. Time felt suspended, each second stretching out like a rubber band pulled to its limit. The silence afterward was heavy, dripping with dread. Maya's breath came in shallow bursts, fear wrapping around her throat like a noose. Jack's mother slumped to the ground, her body a crumpled heap by the shadows, and a fresh wave of disorientation surged through them. "Maya!" Jack shouted, scrambling to her side. Panic etched into every feature. The crowd, once frozen, in that moment, Maya felt the ground shift beneath them. "What just happened?" she whispered, her own voice trembling at the absurdity of it all. Jack didn't respond, his eyes locked on the lifeless body of his mother, disbelief written all over his face. But then, as if summoned by the chaos, Rick emerged from the shadows, stepping into the dim light. His demeanor shifted, anger simmered just beneath the surface. "This is a circus, Jack. I warned you." Maya's pulse raced. "You did this," she spat, her heart hammering against her ribs. "You pushed us into this." But Rick just laughed, full of spite. "You really think you're the victim here?" Jack's face contorted, confusion twisting into fury. "What are you talking about?" As if on cue, an ear-splitting explosion sent shards of glass raining down from the nearby building. The ground shook violently beneath them, the scene erupting into even more chaos. People screamed, ducking for cover, but Maya felt drawn to an unfamiliar force. Amidst the chaos, a figure stepped forward, creeping from the alley across the street. A woman, dark hair falling in front of her face, walked slowly toward them, her gaze locked on Jack. "Mom?" Jack's voice broke the air, a whisper filled with disbelief. But then Maya's breath halted in her throat as the woman lifted her eyes, revealing a piercing gaze that held a storm of emotions. Affection mixed with something cold and distant. "It's time to finish this," she said, her voice smooth but laced with an unmistakable authority. "What do you mean? Who are you?" Maya choked, feeling small against the weight of this confrontation. "I'm the reason you're all tangled in this web. The lineage you're fighting over, Jack." She gestured at him, but her eyes flicked to Maya, filled with chilling clarity. "And Maya, it's not what you think." Jack recoiled, a horror dawning on his face. "No, it can't be." "Ah, you're lying." But before he could process it, the woman reached into her jacket and pulled out a small, glinting device. A small bomb. Something far worse than a threat. It was a promise of destruction. "This ends tonight," she said with calm precision, igniting the tension as she pressed a button. Time faltered again, breath hitching as Maya realized what was happening. "No, don't!" she screamed, lunging forward, but Jack grasped her wrist, eyes wild with panic. Everything shifted. The ground beneath them exploded. Bright light and deafening sound drowned out the chaos, knocking everyone back. Screams rang out, mingling with the sound of destruction. As the dust settled, Maya blinked against the haze, scrambling to their feet. Jack was nearby, disoriented, but then her heart stopped. The woman in black? She was gone. "What just happened?" Jack's voice trembled, filled with disbelief. "No! We have to find her!" Maya shouted, sensing the urgency clawing at her insides. But then, slowly, all the pieces fell into place. Everything Jack thought he knew about his family, the connections, the betrayal, merged into something tangled and terrifying. The fight wasn't over, not by a long shot, and now it felt like their reality was spiraling. Up was down, and nothing was true anymore. "Who was she?" Maya whispered, dread rising in her chest. Jack's eyes were haunted, reflecting the depth of confusion and fear. "I don't know. I just don't know." And just like that, the world as they knew it crumbled away, leaving them staggering at the edge of a darkness they had scarcely begun to understand. Would there be a way back from this? Jack struggled to pull himself up, blinking away the chaos that swirled like a storm around him. The explosion's aftershock reverberated in his bones, and all he could hear were the muffled cries of the crowd. He searched frantically for Maya. One look at her face told him everything. Fear, uncertainty, and a fierce determination etched into her features. "Get the kids!" he shouted, adrenaline coursing through him. He had to protect them. They had to find a way out of this nightmare. Maya nodded, her eyes flashing with determination. "Come with me!" She grabbed his hand, and together they surged forward through the throng of panicked bodies. But just as they reached the street, a shadow loomed before them. Rick stepped into their path, a twisted grin spreading across his face. "You think you can just run away? Move!" Jack growled, stepping protectively in front of Maya. Anger surged within him, cold and hard. "You're not taking anyone from us!" The chaos around them faded into a dull roar, and in that moment, everything narrowed to the confrontation at hand. "You're in over your head, Jack. You don't know what you're dealing with," Rick sneered, yet behind the bravado was a flicker of fear. Jack's heart pounded in his chest, thoughts racing. He glanced at Maya, her strength bolstering him. "You don't get to control this," he said, voice steady. Suddenly, the sirens screamed in the distance. Red and blue lights danced across the street, illuminating the scene in stark contrast. Rick's confidence faltered. "This isn't over," he spat, taking a step back, eyes narrowing. Ha 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 ha! With a final glare, he vanished into the shadows, retreating from the chaos that was clearly spiraling out of control. "Jack!" Maya called urgently, pulling him away as the officers flooded in, weapons drawn. They were here to restore order, but in moments of panic, everything felt uncertain. "We need to find Joshua! He said he saw!" Just as she spoke, a voice cut through the clamor. "Mom! Dad!" It was Joshua! Relief flooded through Maya as she turned to see her son racing toward them. She scooped him into her arms, tears spilling down her cheeks. "We thought we lost you!" "I'm okay, but they took the others. They took my brother and sisters." His small voice trembled with fear, and Maya's heart shattered. "No!" she gasped. "We'll find them. I promise." She exchanged a worried glance with Jack. But before they could formulate a plan, the same woman from before appeared, her face determined. "Jack, we need to talk. Now." There was urgency in her voice, something in her eyes that sparked both fear and hope within him. "There was something more," she said, grabbing his arm. "The truth is bigger than you both realized, but we need to act fast, or it will all be lost." Jack turned to Maya. An unspoken understanding passed between them. "We have to trust her." "Fine," Maya replied, steeling herself. "But we're not leaving without our kids." As they hurried toward the woman, Jack glanced over his shoulder at the chaos behind them. The sirens were getting closer, but in the distance, shadows moved. "They're still coming!" And just like that, the chase began again. With every stride, hope mingled with terror. The reality sank in. Families pulled apart, lives tied to secrets, a web of deception unraveling before them. But through it all, they moved forward, driven by an urgent fire ignited by love and resilience. As the night wrapped them in darkness, the echoes of sirens grew fainter. They wouldn't just survive. They'd expose the truth that haunted them. And as they ventured into the unknown, one question lingered in the air. What lay ahead? But through the shadows, a flicker of light beckoned them forward. If you want to uncover the next chapter in this unfolding saga, you have to subscribe now! Don't miss out. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm, and let's push this story further. I need to hear your thoughts, so flood the comment section with your reactions, theories, and predictions about what's going to happen. And don't wait even a second longer to share this with at least 5 friends who need to see how Faye